For the culture.
How's everybody's quarantine?
Oh, boring.
All right, yeah. So I know for sure I'm not watching Tiger King. That's for damn sure.
You didn't watch?
I tried to
gave
watch
in
it,
and
man.
watched it.
You didn't like it?
I gave in.
Oh, I watched it. What was your thoughts on it, Lisa?
To be honest, I didn't realize there was that much drama in the Tiger King world, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't anticipate it to be that dramatic to that extent. And then they're just I didn't know you could marry 3 guys at the same time, to be honest. I thought that's a new one.
I think Obama has that.
It was 3 of them. I didn't realize like guys actually were into that too.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a what is it, a poly whatever?
Polyamorous, or was it poly?
Yeah, that's what it is. Polyamorous, no? Polygamory.
I don't know what it's called.
Polygamy, polygamous, whichever. But you know, like, yeah, that's a. But I mean, you know, maybe that's in, you know, as far as with the gay or homosexual side of marriages. I'm not sure. That's new to me. I didn't know that. But I think if you're, you know, if it's a man and a woman, you couldn't do that, right?
No, you
Unless
can.
started
That's why I
being
was so confused because you can when you're a guy and a female, but like I've never seen it like guys.
Okay. Gotcha.
But it was
Yeah,
it's very interesting to say the least. And I still think she killed her husband. I think she fed her husband to the tigers.
I think so too.
yeah.
I really do. I believe that she did. Her husband disappeared.
But that's the
You gotta
thing, though.
watch it.
Like, but I heard something about, you know, she got what, 20 mil before he allegedly disappeared, like went to another country and all that.
More than that, because
Yeah, he was
rich.
Yeah, he was already rich.
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of crazy because if she, you know, and off the husband, what did she take? All of the money? She only took a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, did she pay somebody off, or you know what I'm saying, or kind
Well,
of,
her
you know?
kids, I think she took the estates from his kids. Like she changed the paperwork towards the end.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm like. I gotta watch it then. So you gotta make me watch it.
No, you do. Yeah, I'm gonna make you watch it. You need to watch it.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I seen it, I was just walking by, right, and I seen guys kissing each other and stuff. I was like, what is this shit? I was like, I'm not watching this shit. And then,
But you did.
deeper into it, bro, you're like, yo, this shit kind of sick. But I don't want to like, maybe that I don't like to see that scene. But the whole like timeline of the whole series is like, okay, this is straight. And I didn't even know who he was before this, to be honest with you.
No, I didn't either. And they're from Florida. That's the saddest part.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even realize there was that much drama in the like wild animal cat thing. I didn't even know you could own a cat without like permission or certain. There's a guy actually in the Bronx who has a tiger in his apartment.
Well,
A lot of exotic animals out here that you'll be surprised. There's a lot of, especially in Florida. As you can see,
yeah, I've seen.
I don't know if you want to call it iguana exotic, but like they have people. People have a lot.
My bad, I don't cut you off.
No,
I mean,
got a lot of pets.
But to us, they're not because we see them all the time down here.
Yeah.
So they're not. So you know what I'm saying? But also with like the big cat thing, when I was on, I was watching a little bit of the background with the real Tarzan, and he was talking about how a certain class license to even get in contact or have cats like big cats and certain animals, like you can't just get them. As far as what I know, but I think it's different in each state. I know certain states you don't need certain certificates and stuff.
That's why I was so confused. Like him in the Bronx, like you can't even have a gun in the Bronx, and you're gonna sit here and have that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a little like, okay, all right. And we can actually kill iguanas because there's too many of them. I would never, but
yeah, you can kill them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like it was something you can do.
Yeah. And they say once you catch it, you can't let it free either. So you gotta do something with it.
I kept mine.
Oh, you kept yours?
And he grew really, really big. And actually, it's probably terrible because I'm gonna sound like some animal abuser, but my dad put like the tank in the sliding glass door so that way it would like, I don't know, get sunlight, you know? And I guess it got too much sunlight. And when I went to go look at it, it was toasted. Like he toasted in the sun. I didn't think that was possible. Like he like cooked in the sun in the tank.
He was dead?
Yeah, he was like literally just pure skeleton. I was so confused.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's growing. You know, it happens. But yeah, no. Iguanas are like those things are no joke. They with you with the tail, they can split your skin open and stuff like that too. Like that's no joke.
A lot of people don't know about that. But they like a quick nut. Like they give you all that energy.
And they're so fast.
Yeah, like they just still like they ran out of energy. Like all that running around, and then they just stop. And yeah, like it's like they're storing energy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, this whole coronavirus thing, this is crazy right now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm still trying to like adjust and acclimate myself.
What are your thoughts about the shortage of gear at the hospital? Because I talked to a couple of nurses. They're mad at the state and different states are saying everyone has to wear masks. And getting all the masks into the nurses and stuff.
Wait, you broke out. What?
Which part did y'all didn't hear?
Rewind like a whole 10 seconds.
All right, so what are your thoughts about the whole like protective gear? And you know how the state said that everybody should be wearing a mask? I spoke to nurses, and they're saying that they don't like it at all because while they're virus, they don't have protective gear, but they're telling everybody else to. It's pretty much already short supplied, and now they're telling people to go get them and use them and put them on, and they should be going to the nurse.
Wait, you're saying, oh my bad, it keeps breaking up in and out on, but I heard some of it, you said, like, you mean the healthcare workers are saying to wear the mask?
No.
Or they're telling us?
The government is saying that, but the healthcare workers are saying, what about us? Like, we're short, like,
No, it's true. They should get the mask before everybody else, but I mean, for you to make your own mask at home, which I've made like 30 already, plus, you know, it doesn't really take much. You know, just get cloth and wing it if you have to.
I even heard things about where they're saying that they want the healthcare workers to bleach their protective gear.
To what?
Bleach their protective gear.
You can't bleach it because technically there's chemicals in that. So then you're inhaling it. I mean, people are reusing it and spraying Lysol and stuff, but I mean, if you think about it, you're re-inhaling those chemicals. So it doesn't matter whether you wash it. Like, if you're not washing it, then it doesn't really matter. There's a product called Odoban, though, that you can mix with your laundry detergent, and it actually will kill AIDS, HIV, corona, everything possible.
Exactly.
All right, that's good.
They sell it at Home Depot. It's a really big gallon. I actually use it like all over the barber shop, and you just mix it. You can either mix it with a little bit of water. You can put it as a disinfectant spray. I've used it like to make wipes, you know, like even hand sanitizer. You just put a little bit goes a long way. But I've like been washing everything in my house.
What do you use?
Okay. Huh?
What do you use?
I use diesel. So it's rosemary, cinnamon. No, I'm sorry, rosemary, clove, eucalyptus oil. I believe lemon oil, and there's 5 of them because it's called 5 guards. It's usually called 5 guards, but the reason why it's so significant to me is because when I was doing research on essential oils, when you look back in history as far as with the plague and what was going on in Europe, there was a reason why they called these oils because the thieves would actually go in to a lot of the rich people that were dying of the plague and go take their jewelry while they're dying. And some of the rich people people, even like, you know, they had a big ego, so they knew they were gonna die, so they would keep their jewelry on them because they'll be like, oh, whoever's gonna come and loot me is not gonna touch my body. That's not true. Thieves would actually go in there, go get their jewelry, and they'll never catch it. And they saw people. They found diaries of them talking about how they looted those people back in the day and how they didn't catch it. And they were talking about those essential oils. So you put it like around your nose, your hands, and clove is like.
Yeah, use the oils and like a hand sanitizer I made with alcohol.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, that's.
I put in like a bottle with alcohol, and then I put the essential oils, a little bit of aloe, and that's my hand sanitizer.
Yeah, it makes
I was
it better.
spraying the whole conveyor belt inside like Publix before they put my stuff on, and the lady was just looking at me. I'm like, can you just keep rolling it so I can just keep spraying real quick? And she was like, okay, and she did too. So I was like, oh yay, thanks. Like, good looks, girl.
Lisa don't play, but Lisa probably go into the store with the whole quarantine suit.
Listen, I am in a sports bra for the simple fact that I take my clothes off when I leave the store, and so does my husband, and the shoes. And I'm like super OCD. Like the bags don't leave Walmart. They're not coming in my car. Oh no. I spray everything down as I'm grabbing it. The whole cart sprayed down, the conveyor belt. So when I transfer it, I'm transferring as minimal as possible. And then when I get home, I still wipe everything down. And then the lady had the nerve to take my peppers out of the bag and put them like inside of the like little part that you go across. And I had like a whole panic attack.
Damn.
Oh man, she's trying to saute them. She's trying to marinate the damn viruses on that stuff, man. Oh man.
I did.
And then they have their gloves on, touching everybody. And then I see people with masks on inside their car. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? That's hold on, you coughing, what?
Nah,
you coughing?
Never. It's kind of like it was cold. You know?
Wait a minute. Oh, that's one of the symptoms, man. But yeah, let me.
I don't know what I did. Oops.
She knows.
No, but I got so upset. I was not coughing. I don't have corona. I did get paranoid though because my allergies kicked in, and I called my doctor, and I was like, "Yo, listen real quick. My allergies kicking in. What does this mean?"
You gotta be extra careful when you outside. You sneeze, you.
What? I look over at people. I'm like, "You too close jogging. We supposed to be staggered." Like, it travels. I'm like the one that's like all the way running around the street, like across the street to avoid the person. Hello.
Yeah, because where was I? Yeah, I thought it was in Walmart. I saw some lady just coughing. It was like it was on purpose. Cause she's coughing and she's looking around like, I'm like,
they're so mean too now. They do it like on purpose. They're like, it's like, yo, was it that serious? Like, did you have like, no.
I got my little diesel thing going on. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but no, seriously, like I seen, I was like, nah. But I was with my daughter at that time when they were still allowing kids inside Walmart. And yeah, so I was like, I put my daughter to my side. I was like, nah, at least I'm not gonna make her catch you. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't even been at Walmart, bro. Because every time I go to Walmart, I'm in there for like longer than I have to, and then now they got this whole new rules and shit that allow a certain amount.
Oh no! See, I went in yesterday and I left instantly. Probably within 10 minutes, I had like a full-on panic attack because there were so many people, and then they did not want to like spread out. They were all like in bunches, and I'm just like, "Are you guys that ignorant?" So I put everything down on the floor and I walked out.
Yeah, see,
I said, you know what? I'm not even putting it all back because the way my anxiety is right now is just not coping with it. Leave me over here. No. And then I tried again today to go to Walmart, and it was way more successful. But let me tell you, there were people still fighting at registers. The lady who was ringing me up hardly knew what she was doing. And then when I tell you she took my peppers out of that bag, I go, put them peppers back in that motherfucking bag because you cross-contaminated my shit right now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like, shoot. Last night I had a time limit. I felt like I was in Hunger Games. I only had like 15 minutes because I couldn't take my daughter in, so I had to wait for her mother. You know what I'm saying? And,
I haven't taken my kids anywhere. They're like, we can just sit in the car. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So I had to wait for her mother to get pick her up. Went to Walmart, and I was like, man, I only got 15 minutes left. Like, oh, registers get closed. It's like Hunger Games out there, man. People literally running down the aisles, I forgot right now. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. When you think about it, it's like almost like a communist country.
I'm not.
No, it is.
It's crazy, man. When you think about it.
This made me think. You got to think deeper too. Think about this. This made me think about it like this. Imagine if the government was to tell the world exactly what was really going on.
They can't.
A Hunger Game, bro.
Listen, you guys got to be careful what you say because there's cameras outside my house.
Sorry.
They will shut my phone off. I know, I'm not even joking. I'm saying it so proudly right now, but it's not proudly. They shut my phone off in the middle of my cousin talking way too much. So now I'm like, sorry, guys.
That's just like the you know how the quarantine parties are right now on IG, and then every time a girl try to like get naked or anything, people are like, no, don't do that, no nudity. Blocking everything, shutting you down now right away once they see something like that. And what are y'all thoughts about quarantine radio? You guys been tuning in?
I did watch Tory Lanez and Diddy.
You watched Tory Lanez quarantine radio?
Mm-hmm. And I watched it with Diddy yesterday with J-Lo and Drea.
I didn't get to really see Diddy's, but I seen a couple of quarantine radio where he's making girls like spill almond milk on their buns and everything like that.
He's so stupid.
So what are your thoughts about that? Like, you think that's good for the dancers that are not in like strip clubs right now? You think that's a little good?
I mean, if they put their Cash App out there, I mean, why not? What else are they gonna do? What else is anybody gonna do? People are gonna pay regardless. They have the Snapchat. What is it? The Snapchat private Snapchats or whatever the hell it is.
Fans now, they got only.
So it's like, I mean, it's the same thing as those girls doing the Snapchat rated R whatever stuff that they do. You know, so I mean, I'm not in a club, but it's probably better because no guys are touching your ass and your boobs and violating you in every means possible. I mean, you're doing it over the phone. There's not much they can really do. Throw you money for free.
Might actually be the future. Virtual lap dances, virtual.
Listen, you know how many people are gonna hop on that virtual if they can? Because half the women don't do it because they don't want to be physically touched in the first place.
Yeah.
You do it virtually. You don't even have to show your face. You put a mask over it. Half of us got them anyways.
Yeah, niggas don't care about the face. They really looking at the buns.
That's true.
But it's just like what guys are more physical, so they want to be there to have their hand. You know what I'm saying? Ladies don't mind.
But do you? Because do you want coronavirus?
Well, I ain't gonna want that. What other viruses they carry? You know what I'm saying? But no, definitely, guys are. They're gonna be like, man, I want to. You know what I'm saying? But it's pretty creative of what's going on with like ways to get money. As far as with that, as far as with strippers and models, fans only type stuff. Yeah, they doing that.
Not paying taxes on this. Now think about it. Some of them are probably not even paying taxes on this, so they're not qualified for the stimulus check.
Oh, that is so true.
So everybody has to find a way to take care of each other. Pretty much, everybody got to come together. Like the other day, I seen DJ Envy do something for all the DJs. Cause think about it.
I know. I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah, like everybody's coming together. They need to do something for podcasts. They need to do something for people who does makeup. Like everybody should just come together.
There are a few things, but I don't know how legitimate they are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But everybody's coming together and say, hey, we're all in this together, so let's find ways to fix this and find ways to survive through this trial, pretty much. You guys think everybody's taking it as serious as they should be, or do you guys think it's not that serious?
I think it's more serious than people are taking it.
You got to say
I think No, I mean, yeah, because I'm not even gonna lie. At first, I was like, man, forget this, and you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna take it serious. But then it started hitting closer to home because I know somebody in New York who actually passed away from it. I was like, no way, like this is crazy. So I was like, man, like okay, I got my mask in the car, but I didn't even use them yet. Still got that. Let me get hand sanitizer. Let me have my little diesel thing going on, and then I'm gonna have, just take extra precautions and being around people. No more like, hey, because I still go to work, so handshakes and all that. We don't even do that. And then they,
Yeah.
Do they test y'all before you go in?
Oh yeah. They check our temperature. Huh?
Most jobs are doing that. Most jobs are doing that right now. As soon as you walk in, they test your temperature.
Yeah, my mom's job, they do that. As soon as you drive up, they in your car, they put the thing on your forehead. But that to me is kind of like, it's a hit or miss because some people have just naturally higher body temperatures. Like I'm naturally around, like, no lie, 86 degrees internally all the time. So for me, yeah, so it's like for me to get a fever, like anything over like 98 to me is too hot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like everybody's body is a little different, and they're kind of taking it like, oh, you have 100-degree fever, but you don't take into account we're in Florida. People go from outdoors to indoors to their cars to the sun beating on them on one side, so I don't know. I don't think like my cousin, for example, was asymptomatic. So he had no symptoms whatsoever. So you can walk around and give it to everybody, but you don't know you actually have it. So, I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference whether they take your temperature or not, because if you have no symptoms, you can still walk around and give it to everybody next to you regardless. And it's down to you having a conversation, because if one little tiny spit flies and you don't see it because it's so microscopic, you don't know. You just gave the person corona, but you don't know it.
Well, that shit's airborne.
That's true.
And
it sits in the air below 100 feet for 3 hours. So that's about where everybody's general breathing and bubbles, if you want to call it, is in,
100 feet that's a huge spread. So it can go up in the air, come back down, float around, and in the AC system, like at my daughter's brother's job, that Dr. Margate, the doctor that passed away in Margate.
Yeah.
In her building on the second floor. So I was like, because imagine now that person is breathing. Whoever came in to see him or however he got it, he's breathing, and then the AC is, you know what I'm saying? And they're all in that one building. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't have it. So, we don't know. But as
I
far
had
as
to get tested for it already.
Oh, okay.
My other job, I had to. Because census also. So census, I have to, basically it's with the government. So I have to, I'm not necessarily with people, I'm working remotely, but there are times where I do have to go out in the field. So I had to be cleared. So I had to literally stay in quarantine for 7 days and kick everybody out of my house.
Oh, wow.
You have to wait till you get the results after you get tested. Because if I get tested and I walk around and I don't know what I have, I'm still giving it. So they make you literally stay locked up in quarantine.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, with that, what was I going to say? I was going to say something as far as with, did they have to use that long, like...
It feels like they're about to kill your brain.
Oh, my.
Like, I literally felt like my brain was on fire.
What's the test? What's the procedure? What is it?
Well, I just had to pull up in my car because my client, Miguel's client, has he owns a doctor's office where he actually has a testing site there. So they give you one of 5 different sites. So you go get tested. You literally just pull up. They take this whole fucking swab that's really long. They shove it up your nose. It sits up there for, I want to say, like 10 to 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds. And it's just literally like all up in there. And then I got like a full physical, but like, I had all my workup, my blood and everything done at the same time, but It's just one of those things where it's really, really, really uncomfortable, makes your eyes tear up, and you feel like it's stuck in your nose for the next like 24 hours. Like I had to use floating like mad times because I was just like, ah, like I felt like my brain, like when you get oh, this is what it feels like. When you go in a pool and you like get water up your nose and it like burns your brain. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That is the feeling that it feels like.
Oh, because it's not sync to your body because when I use the neti pot, you know what a neti pot is?
No.
Yeah, so the neti. Oh, okay, so it flushes out your sinuses, so the water can go.
Okay, right.
That, and I didn't put the correct amount of solution in there, so the water burned going in. Oh my gosh! So I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
yeah. But I know you, Lisa. I don't know. So I don't want to get into a lot though. But let me not say. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Let's get into the vaccine shots. People are saying, some doctors are saying it might take a while, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. All right. So yeah, what's everybody's thoughts on the vaccine shots? Clark, let's start with you.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, with me, I don't believe in vaccine shots, man. I mean, there's so much evidence. Like, if you look in the right places of vaccine injuries, and for me knowing people personally, and for me seeing somebody with their son who was learning Spanish and English at the same time at 1 year old, and she purposefully recorded him before they went to their appointment for the shots. He was walking, he was talking Spanish, English after the shots. He couldn't even walk anymore. And he forgot how to speak Spanish, forgot how to he learned do it over. But when they were teaching him again, he wasn't retaining the information that he learned before I was doing it before. So it's like different things. It affects people differently, And that's just me.
That for as far as like for children's vaccines, that I agree with. Like I personally, for my daughter, I did not. She got her vaccines, so don't get me wrong. So it's not necessarily like I'm contradicting what I'm saying either, but I gave her vaccines separately because of that exact reason. Because my dad said that there are cases where some kids' neurological abilities they're not compatible with the dosage and how they mix the vaccine. So every vaccine is normally put 2 to 3 in one. So when they give your kids the shots, they're giving them 2 to 3 shots at the same time versus giving them one at a time and one at a time. So I actually had her split up. So she would get one vaccine this week. The next week she would go for the next vaccine, but I never had her do the combination vaccines.
I gotta think about it.
So
you do that.
I did them, but I did them split up, and there were 4 different shots that I didn't do. Like the vitamin K isn't a necessity for them. So they can be perfectly fine without vitamin K. So I didn't need her to get that as a shot as opposed to just taking a vitamin. You know what I mean? So there were certain ones that I was opted out of her getting and certain ones that I had her get, but I didn't have them put them all together because I wanted to avoid any of those instances happening. But like as far as Corona goes, I feel like it's one of those things where they don't have a cure. So no, I've never had the flu shot. I don't get the flu shot. I don't give my kid the flu shot. And I've never had the flu, and neither has she. So neither has my dad and my mom. Nobody that I really am around, we've gotten it. So I don't feel like it's one of those things where you need it to prevent it. But I think, no, is it HIV or AIDS? No, but it mimics it in the sense where they don't have a cure. So it's not sexually transmitted. It's airborne transmitted. So either way, you're still getting it. You still have a susceptibility to getting it. Nobody is told you personally cannot get it if you don't wear a condom. No, if you breathe, you can give it to somebody. And then the worst part about it is that there's the asymptomatic people that have no symptoms. And I have an uncle who passed from having it and having COVID. And then I have a cousin who had corona who was asymptomatic. And so there's a big difference in the two, where one can kill you and one you can live from. But my cousin can still give it to many people, even though he has no symptoms and he's completely recovered, because they don't test you after you get tested and you get out of quarantine. So after those 14 days, there is no proven fact that you go back to the doctor to get tested for them to tell you that you don't have it. So technically it's a cycle because you're still continuing to give it on. So if you don't have a vaccine or even something that's a natural thing or a remedy that's going to kick the virus out of your system and your body, you're always going to have it. You're always going to keep giving it and you're always going to keep spreading it. So it technically does mimic HIV and AIDS, as opposed to it'll eventually kill you and catch up with you, but it's just not doing it anytime soon because you're an asymptomatic person or you got over the virus, but now your compatibility with your lung capacity is a little bit less, but you're still able to live, you know? So I think that they don't come up with something in general that's good, that everybody kind of has to take. Like people from, I don't know, I have family from like other countries where they all have like that shot on their arm where it was like 7 shots in one that they had to get before they came to the States. Yeah, so I feel like in that instance, we may as Americans just have to just suck it up and do that. Same way people from other countries had to have done that, just to ensure that it's something that you just don't have, that you're giving it to your kids, or because there's like strep throat. I've gotten it like 10 times. No one in my house has ever gotten it. You know, so it's like my immunity to it is different than my family. So I could be asymptomatic, but my kid's not. And then I come home and bring it to my kid because I wanted to be stubborn and not get a vaccine or a shot or a cure. And then, you know, you're kind of at fault for that at that point.
But, you know, that's the thing, too, is like, I've seen, like, when people get the shot, which one was it? I believe it was it I forgot which shot it was. When it comes back to me, I'll say it. But I've seen where their kids get that shot, that vaccine, and it actually sheds off of that child, and it gets to the parents, and they get sick. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, okay, you know, that's kind of crazy
like
right there. But not only that, was it? I don't know if it's the whooping cough vaccine. Was it the DTaP? What is it called? I forgot what it's called. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. But
I know there's one of those that you can pass from like the child to the parent.
Yeah, they said so. Like the thing with that is like I know viruses, you can't cure a virus though. That's the thing is like I know you can't cure a virus. A virus is always adapting to its environment.
Yeah, it's like,
you know what I'm saying? Just
like a roach. You know how you use them little sprays? You know, back in the day, you used to be able to kill them with the spray.
Those German ones.
Now you spray that shit walking like it's bulletproof.
Exactly.
You gotta hit them.
It's true.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like the viruses are the same way. I know diseases are different. I know you can heal diseases from food. You can actually kill viruses from food too, but I'm not going to get into that too much. I know when your body's alkaline, nothing can really survive that long in your body. But
hey, they
even
say
cancer,
that's actually a really good thing to be drinking. Like I have all alkaline water in my house now because they say that it helps. I mean, granted, nothing's really going to prevent it, but it does help.
Vitamins.
Yeah.
A lot of vitamin C.
Like,
vitamin C and zinc, they say it helps.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody should have been taking vitamin C and zinc to begin with, so.
Yeah, you'll be surprised though. There are people that they don't take their regular vitamins. They should. Now they're probably taking it because they're like, oh snap, they weren't there in fear.
Oh, no, I've been like working out like crazy, eating super healthy. Well, I've always been healthy for a while, but now like working out, I have like everyone raced to go get weights, and I'm like, I got all this before quarantine.
You know what's funny? Now you see your neighbors that you never seen before. You see people walking around, riding around.
I'm like the New Year's resolutions kicked in mad late.
They should have been doing this from day one. That's the crazy.
Like, last night. Go ahead.
Nah,
when I was at Walmart, all the vegetables and fruit are gone. How come they weren't gone before? The vegetables and fruit, everybody wanted to eat. You know, and
just went and bought mad vegetables.
Yeah, I got a few. I always have, because I don't eat meat. You know what I'm saying? Well, the most
I don't either. My kids are so happy though. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're like cooking 24 because it's not just like breakfast and dinner. It's like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks." And I'm like, the loser mom that's like putting happy faces on shit to make it look cool, and they're just eating it. You know, taking the effort. They appreciate it. They're like, oh, thanks, Mom. And I'm like, okay, well, there goes my little 5-hour design I took.
We might have to come pull up, girl.
Listen, I just made some bomb tortellini homemade with my little machine. It was so fun. I don't think I've had that much fun making pasta in a while.
Boy, I feel bad for all the girls, the guys that have girls that can't cook right now, boy.
What? My kids will not eat frozen. If I dare, I've tried it before, like just as a joke, just to prove a point. And so I gave them like Stouffer's frozen mac and cheese as opposed to like homemade mac and cheese. And they totally just looked at me and they were like, you know, we don't want to throw away food because we know that people really, really need food in this world, but this is gross.
Yeah, it's a different taste to it.
I'm like, yo, I really just didn't want to cook. Like, can I not be able to cook one day?
Yeah.
No.
So
now they're like super happy.
What are your thoughts about the stay-at-home order thing they have going on? Did you guys hear about the Broward shutting down I-95 when they told everybody to stay home?
The what?
You guys didn't hear about that?
No.
I didn't hear.
A whole bunch of people went on I-95 and shut it down, and then they went to the flea market.
Oh yeah. It was like a bunch of cars and stuff, right?
Yeah. And then they went to the flea market, and then a kid that I guess had beef in the streets got shot. They came back around, and people were telling the girl, this is what I hear. I don't know if it's true or not. They're telling the girl to come, like leave the body, but you know her, she that's her man on the floor. She didn't want to leave with her man. They came back and shot the girl too. I heard.
They came back and what?
Yeah, they came back and shot the girl too.
Stop.
They both died.
Right down the street. Yeah, that's right down the street from my house. You know, Oakland and 441.
No, they didn't. They shot her too.
Yeah.
She died.
What?
That was crazy.
The whole thing. I was looking at this shit like, damn. There's a group of people right there, right? But nobody's calling the cops or ambulance. Like, what's going on?
That's the sad part. This generation, everybody sits on their cell phones videotaping as opposed to like calling 911 and getting help. Like, how do you just stand there and completely see that?
I understand that you're scared of a bullet, but if you think about it though, people are gonna die, but they outnumbered there was one car. I know there's a group of people inside the car, but somebody, I don't know. For me, I don't want to sound like you're a superhero and shit. Like you gotta go save somebody, and you could save a life or anything. But yeah, it was dangerous at the same time. But they at least could have, I don't know, because from my understanding, the guy came back around to kill the girl. So no one went towards the body to like tell the girl let's go or pick up the body or try to like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, how I think about that is so stupid because, you know, they're worrying about this beef and that beef, and they don't see what's happening around them as far as the manipulation in their brain. Like, nothing on this block or whatever street they're from or whoever is, nothing is theirs. And I keep telling people, I'm like, you know, the people who think like that, I guarantee you won't go to Washington, D.C. and claim that. You won't go step on there. You won't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? It's ignorance. Yeah,
I don't know.
It makes no sense how you be so ignorant to think about that when you have a pandemic going on. And even after a pandemic is over, it's like, what is the sense? Like, it can't compute in my head, like, that somebody can just go out their way, and they're with, even if the person's going off at the mouth, you know what I'm saying? Fight them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to shoot. Fight them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to even sound ignorant saying that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much more.
See, the thing is, like, fighting, okay, it's better than killing somebody, right? But one wrong hit can still kill somebody. So at the end of the day, you know, it really isn't, it's about you just being able to communicate. If you can't communicate and you have to be physical, at the end of the day, you're still going to put somebody's life at risk. So you can punch somebody hit them in the head and they can have a seizure and die. You can push somebody the wrong way, they can trip and fall and hit their head on a, curb and die. There's plenty of instances where people will fight in their own homes and the person falls over, breaks a glass table, it goes through them or whatever happens and they die. So, I mean, I think that whenever you resort to physical violence in any means necessary, like you're always putting yourself at that legal risk of being prosecuted for killing somebody.
People are in the cell, like they're not going to come back. They're going to sit in the cell and rot for the rest of their life. Like, are they thinking about their kids, that person's kids, the families they affect, the oppression that's going on with the melanated people within themselves? Like, do they not see what's going on and just come together and become powerful? Because, and I hate to say this, just, there was somebody who said this. It was like a business partner of my father. My father has a cleaning business, so that guy just so happened to be Jewish. So he said, and I don't want to get into race and stuff, but he said, black people are so powerful, but, he's like, what the flaw is, the one flaw? He says, we're not organized. He told father that, and he's Jewish.
And to be honest, not even to, agree, but in a sense, if you really think about it, white people just have the advantage of having their parents having their shit together because they're organized. So at the end of the day, if you really do break it down, it kind of does sometimes end up like that.
Exactly. And the thing is
you
Asian
kind of
people
put your
too.
own perception for other people to look at when you act a certain way. So if everybody's acting ratchet or ignorant or using ebonics and not speaking proper, you're kind of just setting your own reputation within your own people. And then when other people say anything about it, and I can say this because I am both white, black, and Hispanic, so I'm a whole mix of the whole thing. So I see every side from all different family. And personally, it kind of does sometimes end up like that. And unfortunately, it's kind of like one of those things, you are who you associate yourself with. So if you actually speak proper, they're going to associate you with more of an educated class. But if you speak more ebonics and curse, then they're going to associate you with a less higher class, which is ignorant, but it happens, because I myself can channel on whether I feel like being in a mood where I'm comfortable or whether I have to be professional.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there's always a time to, and I hate to say it, it's like being yourself as far as with, like you're saying, ebonics, or just being just more comfortable, like you're saying, in the setting, or being more professional, when to handle business and have fun at the end of the day, and
right.
it's just, as far as with, and I hate to keep saying it, it's just black people just need to get on that page, here, for example, the Indian, as far as with the Indian culture from India, my mother, she's in, the tech space, so she used to work for Lockheed Martin and so forth, and I can't say what she used to work.
Oh, and they're really good.
Yeah, she couldn't even tell me what she did, but aside from that,
good.
Huh?
I said that's all you gotta know is she's good with that.
Yeah, exactly. but yes, the only thing she'll say is you got a lot of the people from India that learn technology, they learn how to code, and they actually go, or they do class like how we're doing Zoom. They show their people how to do that in India, get them over here, and that's how they have those careers. Boom, they go to school for a little bit, get a little degree, and they got their stuff. And it's just black people don't do it. Asian people do the same thing. Yeah. Jewish people do the same
thing. It's you have the resources, but we're just too lazy to use them because we weren't. Honestly, I feel like Americans in general, and I'm a citizen, but I just feel like we're spoiled. Going from seeing my husband's family who are immigrants to my family and we're all citizens, you see the big difference in the sacrifices and what people make and where people get their mindset to really be successful, as opposed to just having that privilege and being oh, you know what, I'm from this country, I can work wherever, I can do wherever, versus these people bust their asses. They work hard, and I've just seen from seeing his family, even my daughter's family, in general, and they actually really work hard for it. And I feel when people come from other countries, they just have a whole new appreciation for what's in front of them. We don't take opposed to the poverty that they deal with, the struggles to get food. not everybody's brought up in money, especially in like Dubai. You have the super richest country, but only 10% of them are rich. You know, so it's like, I don't know. I just think that Americans are just spoiled brats, to be honest. And I myself feel like every once in a while I had to be humbled myself, you know, to marry somebody who was an immigrant and had to work hard to get a citizenship. So I just feel like I've been lazier than he was just to get, you know, to that point. You know, obviously I have a degree and I've worked my ass off, but to the point of the appreciation that they have and they go through, and even just coming to this country, however all these different people take boats or tunnels or however the hell they get here, smuggling in suitcases back in the day, you know, it's like, I don't know. I personally just think we're just lazy and we have to appreciate what we have more. And this is kind of like, as much as a pandemic is bullshit, I think it was something that needed to happen because it's kind of made everybody realize that it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Spanish, Asian, whatever, you get the virus, you're going to get the virus. Everybody's losing people. Everybody has to come together. Everybody has to follow rules. Everybody has to do things a certain way, as opposed that we would have never done it beforehand. So I don't know. I think in the sense that maybe this has humbled a lot of people. People have lost their jobs and been rich, and now they're broke. And they're like, oh shit, like, what do I do? Well, guess what? The way you treated people before, now you're about to be that person serving and delivering pizzas. So you should have been a little bit nicer to the delivery guy that brought you pizza 2 weeks ago. Because now you filing unemployment and delivering the pizza to him.
Not just that. It's gonna humble a lot of companies too. A lot of companies going bankrupt. A lot of companies, and
yep.
Show this is going to show you if you should work for that company or not. How the company treats the workers.
Exactly.
That's true.
And you know, the thing with this whole thing, you know, like you said, Lisa, is like, I believe this is supposed to bring everybody together, but in the end, a lot of people in this generation, or even the younger generation, just the people who act out, you know, they haven't been through anything like this, and this kicks in like a primitive type of instinct to every man for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Especially
and
for the ones who never experienced 9/11 either.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's, you know, and it's like, it's to the point where, oh man, I don't know if I can talk about this because that's why I'm not going too deep into certain things, but that's how I feel like, you know, people are here to help each other, but I believe this pandemic was designed to do the opposite because they know that was going to happen. But
sure.
let me not get into
to control.
But here's
thing to control.
But let me tell you. Okay, so check, right. So that gave, you know, it's still going out. A lot of people didn't get it still. So you have that, right? Now, people feel relieved for now. And the people who are getting unemployment, they're getting extra money for now. So 4 months, right? So what's in 4 months? So you have what? We're in April, May, June, July, August, right? Months. It's funny. What happened?
That's a time where people go back to school too.
Yep.
But yeah, and here's the thing. So now you're giving out these checks, extra checks for unemployment. A lot of people still haven't received unemployment. Now, they're going to keep extending. To me, it's going to keep extending. So every month, notice how when it gets towards the end of the month, oh, we're going to extend, you know, the lockout, no more school, none of this. And then they wait till the next month, they do it again. Because imagine if they say, so check this out. Look at the math.
They will make chaos if they dare say that it is more than 30 days because the American citizens do not know how to act without their freedom.
Yes, but that. So check this out, right? So imagine you tell people that they'll get 4 months of money on their unemployment. But let's say you don't go month by month and you tell people, oh, you know, this is going to be for 6-8 months. So people are going to be like, wait a minute. So that means whatever we're getting on our checks, our unemployment, that's just going to end soon. So what do we have to do? Rob, shoot, and loot. Yep. That's what they. So that's why they're doing. Not to startle people yet, because they'll start now. If they say it's going to be 6 months, right? Lockout. It's going to happen. They're going to start doing it now. But here's the thing. yo, that's man. And then that's what they want because the housing, they're gonna lose the housing. So now, people don't have jobs, so they're getting that little check, and they're gonna put it all towards their rent because they're gonna be like, fuck everything else as long as I have a roof over my head, right?
Well, but technically, there is a Stratton law in place, so any mortgage companies or like your tenant can't evict you within the time frame of the lockdown. So if they file within this time frame, it's going to be dismissed. Now, as far as how they want you to pay afterwards, whether they put it to the end, whether they forgive it, or whether you have to pay in full at the end of this is up to them. But you technically don't have to pay.
Yeah, and you can't take it to court because there's technically nobody in the courthouse right now at this time.
No, I mean, they can file, but because the law is in place right now, they cannot file within this time period. Now, after, they can still hold you liable for the balance. That's not what they're saying. It's just a matter of you have that forgiveness period of, the next 3 months or 2 months of not having to pay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like even when you owe after that, then now you're backed up like whatever you owe. You know what I'm saying? But aside from that, it's like this is all. Yeah, and like to me, it's all made to like have people lose their houses. That's how they get more property. The richer become richer. You know what I'm saying? And people are gonna lose their cars, all type of stuff, and that's all play. Like this was supposed to happen 2 years ago. So it's like it's been backed up, and now it's supposed to be worse than what it was supposed to be 2 years ago. Because every 10 years is 10 years really supposed to be a reset. But I've been talking about this. I've been talking about this for like a few years now, actually. But yeah, go ahead. I can't hear you.
I say you've been talking about the recession for a while.
Yeah, man, but it just so happens to happen in this side, like the way it's happening now. So as far as with this topic we're talking about with the pandemic, so now people are going to blame it on that instead of what the real deal is behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Which is inflation on the dollar. There's no more liquidation on the dollar, man. It's game over. The system is collapsing, so that's why they're turning to digital currency. When you look at Ripple, and that's why they're making all of these moves, while everybody's worried about the coronavirus, which they should be, and they're using their money and this stimulus check is perfect to change somebody's life for the rest of their life if they know how to use it the right way.
Exactly. If you know how to use it. And this pandemic can change somebody's life from being poor to rich or middle class to rich. Because now
but here's my thing that I'm not exactly quite understanding. So maybe you guys can better clarify if you know, but I feel like why is it like, okay, so they're sending this check, right? But are they sending this check continuously? What is it to the people who didn't file taxes? What about the people who don't live in those current addresses? What about, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are those people getting those checks? Are they getting those checks? Because they say that they're doing it through how you filed your taxes. Well, what if you don't have the same bank account, the same address, the same information? Like, how are they getting these people these checks?
We have information on that already. Where you have to, I think you have to go on the IRS website or contact them, and they have things set up in place for that. But my real question is to the people that's like the immigrants. The immigrants are not getting paid this check because they're immigrants of the country, even though they work here in America. Did you hear about that?
Oh, they're not getting one? I didn't know that. I didn't hear about that.
Immigrants are not getting the check. People that.
I mean, I know my aunt and my cousin just got their check, and they're in New York, so I don't know if it goes by state or by like, and they just filed their taxes, so I don't think it goes by like who filed their taxes first either, because I filed mine pretty early, and they got their checks, which is fine, you know what I mean? It is what it is, but like, I don't know how they're distributing that, you know what I'm saying?
Did you guys hear about the guy that received his stimulus check, but he received a whole bunch of money? I don't know if it was in the millions or billions or whatever, but he cashed out. He took $200 out of his account, and then he seen the receipt. He was like, that don't look right. I don't have that much money in my account. They took out another set of cash, And they said that don't look right. And then he went to his bank account. I mean, yeah, the bank, and then he said something wrong. This is not. I don't have this much money in my account. And they figured out that they sent it to his account by accident. What would you guys do in that situation?
I mean, the bank is always going to come back for you regardless. So even if you act like you didn't know, they're still going to come after you some way or another in your taxes when you least expect it and you're really looking forward to the money and wipe your shit clean. It's just a known fact.
Yeah, they're going to stop your...
Or they're going to put it on your collections and they're going to say, bam, add it to your credit.
You owe Uncle buddy. You owe...
Yep.
Accidentally paid for my
They're not gonna let you get that free money. Like, let's be real.
They hacked my account by accident. You know what I'm saying? Like, they hacked it, and they paid their student. No, they paid my student loans by accident. I don't know why it happened.
Me too. So don't feel so bad. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna owe us real quick for that law school you did not finish, but here you go."
Oh,
yeah. There you go. I said, I don't do that. I mean, God, I wouldn't do that.
Some people are like, that's not my problem. That's their problem. That's in my account now.
Mm-hmm.
Yo. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna say.
They're still gonna come back after you, man. Always. They don't let you live it down.
I deserve at least 10% of that.
They let you keep it when you cash it until they catch up with you. There's your 10%. You got that interest. You got a loan, basically.
Pretty much.
We're going to let you think that you have it for a good 12 months, and then we're going to take it right out of your check or garnish your wage, your IRS check.
Hey, I'll tell them, look, for saving you the hassle, and I told you guys up front what happened to my account. I should receive a handsome reward.
Yep.
Give me $5. We out. We good. I saved you $500,000 by trying to, pay this company, pay this debt collector, whoever, to go through the process and find me. And you got to pay people to do that. So you might as well pay me for, you know what I'm saying? Pay me a fraction of what you were gonna pay them to come after me. So you might as well, just give me a reward. I mean, that's just me, but
I'm saving you tax dollars.
It's true, though.
The thing is, too, is like, speaking of student loans, I was reading up on this guy who paid his student loans with his Social Security, but I don't know if I should go into that. He actually used his Social Security.
People, I feel like as long as you're paying it, it doesn't really matter how you're giving it to them. Because if you get paid a check and you pay your bills out of that check, does it really count because it's your Social Security?
No, he used his
Or he had them deduct the social, but I feel like that's part of the garnishing process anyway. If you have no more assets for them to utilize and they want to get paid somehow and you're giving them your Social Security or your pension or whatever, why not? They're getting paid. It's the government. Social Security is government.
Yeah. But I meant it a different way, though. Literally, you going, let's say if you wanted to buy a new car, and you literally go up to them and you give them your Social Security number to pay for it.
How you do that?
You didn't hear about that before? It's real.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but it really depends on your credit. If you have really good credit, you can bypass that. But if you have shitty credit, I feel like I don't ever heard that working.
Because I heard you use your Social Security as far as because your account number is supposedly on the stock market, you can be bought. You're worth.
If you have, it's like a Bitcoin, no?
No. I'm talking about okay, so this guy, he looked up his Social Security number. He saw that because literally somebody can buy you on the market. You know that, right? Literally can buy you.
Right.
And I'm not talking about hackers and stuff. I'm talking about, they buy your number. So you are paying off debt, and you're actually worth a lot of money, right? What he did, he took his from wherever the reserve or whatever he's worth, he took his Social Security to pay off his student loans, right? Like, I'm not talking about Social Security you pay every time you get paid. I'm talking about actual account number linked to the market and all type of shit. He did that shit and he's locked up for. That's what I was talking about. He got locked up, but he actually legit did it. But yeah, there's a lot of other shit.
Some, like, what is that movie called with Leonardo DiCaprio where he does that? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh wait.
I feel like that's totally something like that.
Wolf of Wall Street type stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Wolf of Wall Street.
That's my movie.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that movie. That movie was dope. I like to see that. Like, it's funny because one of my friends from back in the day, he worked for his partner, Jordan Belfort, the main character. He worked for his partner, Delray. Well, I think it was Delray appointed because he had an office up there, which was crazy. But yeah, that shit was crazy. But let me not get into that. But yeah, no, like the so you know what I'm talking about, though, right? You know what I'm talking about? Your social security number.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. Everyone's social security number has a value. People will pay for that value because they don't have a social or they want to use it for any sort of identity theft, right?
Wait, you said something about that. Okay, you said something about identity theft. What?
Yeah.
If somebody can use it, that's what she's saying.
Oh yeah, they can use it. Oh, yo, they can literally like. How to say it?
I've had it like 5 times already where people have like used my identity, and I don't even have that common of a like last name to be using.
Oh, damn! Interesting.
Yeah, you know, it happened to me in Texas because the 7-Eleven, someone had stuck something inside of the strip. And they actually were using every time people were swiping their visas or any sort of like credit or debit card, they were swiping it and taking all the information that they were using to pay.
Damn. Okay, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that before.
So I didn't even realize it. Like I saw like a charge of like $200 and I was like, that is not mine. And then, like, eventually, like, I called and I asked, and they ended up telling me that it was because of, like, someone had hacked my information, but it was, like, a whole fight and a battle, and it's happened I don't know how many times already. Like, I just have bad luck with that.
Wow. Crazy. I think that only happened to me one time, and then after that, I'm like, but yeah, there's a way to find out. I know you can find out if those strips or whatever electronics you can put on your Wi-Fi, and then you can see if I forgot what the code is, but there's a certain code on the Wi-Fi that you can see when you turn on your Wi-Fi when you get to like the pump or some shit, and you can tell if it's hacked before you even put your shit in there, so you know not to use it.
I don't even put it in there at all anymore.
Yeah, I don't like messing with it, but
I just go inside.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you listening, huh? You done did that. I forgot that stuff.
You're putting me on game right now.
Yeah. No, there's a code. I forgot what the code is, but there's certain codes. When you put on Wi-Fi and you go up to the pump, you can see that shit. You can tell if it's not supposed to. Not supposed to be there. And yeah. And then you know, like, okay, this shit is rigged. Go inside, boom.
It's happened to my mom before. Cash App's gotten me. Ooh, I hate Cash App.
I heard of Cash App. I heard of that. I heard they
Cash App got me for $1,400.
Damn.
Granted, they gave it back because I have the credit union, so they knew that was not me. But it was some random dude in Georgia.
Wow. Damn.
And that was all I got. And every time I called the number, I guess it was like a trap phone. I don't know, because they weren't answering, and it was like one of those like fake phones, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to finesse you real quick.
What? I was so upset. I was like, what is this? They like called me and everything. I'm like, no, I'm not sending somebody all this money. Give it back.
Yeah, they want, wow. Yeah, that's how they were doing it. That's crazy. Cash App is something else, man. I'm surprised they hacked that.
Yep, they have to. How? I have no idea, but they basically logged into mine, sent the money to themselves, took the money out through some like unknown account, and then I never got it back. Well, I did end up getting it back through my bank, but not like Cash App. Cash App didn't want to give it to me. They were like, "Oh, I don't know."
Oh man, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I had that happen too with something. Apple Pay.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Next week, I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Yeah, let's wrap it up and everybody stay safe and keep up to date. We'll start doing this weekly. Yeah. So have a good night, guys.
Yeah. Good night.
Horticulture.